Hey guys, welcome to Live in Color.
What's good, like fam?
Wifey. We got comment request. Shout out
Shout out to King Burnsy.
shout out fam.
What's good? He said y'all should react to Inside the Mind of Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, 11 likes?
Yeah, man, we want to see what's going on.
I'm scared. Oh shit.
What's going on?
Oh my gosh. That actor really embodied him.
Looks just like him.
Okay. Let's do it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, this is crazy. But let's get it.
I desensitized myself to it. I don't know. I went to great lengths.
He is pure evil, but you'd never know it by looking at him. But when you hear him, that's another story. His killing field was Milwaukee, and he got away with murder for more than a decade. But how could any of this happen? For the first time ever, Nancy Grass is here inside the world of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Bill, when I sat down opposite Jeffrey Dahmer for this interview, I wondered what he would tell me, how hard it would be to get him to discuss his horrific crimes. What I found was that he was very forthcoming. He volunteered details that may be difficult to hear. I began by asking what he wanted from the men he picked up.
That's a great question.
I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to...
Wow. He said that. It makes sense.
Yep.
Because he felt like everyone was leaving him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he can control you, you can do what he wants. That's the only way he can do that.
Yep.
Oh my God! So wow,
Facts.
it's coming right out of his mouth.
Right out of his mouth.
I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently.
And that's why you killed them.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
Makes
Not
sense.
because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to
You want to control
keep
over
them
them.
with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons.
Jeffrey Dahmer is recalling his monstrous past. Almost 2 years ago, in this little apartment in Milwaukee, police discovered the grisly remnants of one of the most horrible crime sprees in American history. Jeffrey Dahmer, an unassuming chocolate factory worker, would eventually confess that he had seduced, murdered, and dismembered 17 young men. He even ate some of his victims' body parts.
Oh my God.
He instantly became the center of worldwide media attention, a serial killer unmasked.
Imagine admitting to eating human body parts.
Mm.
I don't know if I could even sit down and hear him say that. Like, that has to be tough to hear.
That's how much he wanted it to be a part of him.
Yeah.
That he's willing to do that, to do some cannibal stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's so
There
scary.
were protests and press conferences in Milwaukee as people tried to understand how this could have happened in their midst. How did Jeffrey Dahmer get away with murder after murder for 13 years?
God.
How did a boy born into a hard-working middle-class family turn into the worst kind of monster imaginable? In this exclusive interview, we put those questions to Jeffrey Dahmer himself. We met with him at the maximum security prison where he is serving his sentence of 999 years. For the first time, he talks about his crimes and gives us a chilling look inside the mind of a serial killer.
It's a
That must be
process that
scary.
doesn't
I don't want to
happen
be in the mind of
overnight.
a serial killer.
When you depersonalize another person and view them as just an object for pleasure instead of
Just like we
a living,
said.
breathing human being, it seems to make it easier to...
See, he tricked his mind. You have to look at them as objects and shit. So then we can do this gruesome stuff
Right.
that a normal human
Yeah.
couldn't do.
So now it makes sense because, like you said, the mind is powerful. So he made himself believe, like, but the fact that you have to get yourself out of that human state and look at somebody like they're an object.
And that's why you probably been watching those movies so much. so he can possess those spirits from that movie, so he could be those characters or do those acts into the type of things, you know. But he had to believe it in order for him to do it, and that's what it is.
It's sad.
Do things you shouldn't do.
The reason why Jeffrey Dahmer was able to get away with his crimes was because of just what you are seeing here. Jeffrey Dahmer is intelligent and articulate. That is what makes him so frightening. But if you listen carefully to his words throughout this interview, you realize it is a thin disguise.
Wow.
You do sound, though, like the kind of person who could have said to himself, "This is wrong. I must stop."
Right. Hold on. Exactly like she said. He had self-awareness. Like he know what he was doing was wrong, but it looked like it's weird. Like she said, he was articulate, and then he was articulate and intelligent. But when you hear him speak, it's like he has self-awareness, but he didn't have control over his desire to kill people and do these other different things. So that makes sense why he wanted to get caught, because he felt like he didn't have control over those desires.
Lost control.
Right, he lost control.
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting across from someone like him, you're gonna think like you're talking to someone with common sense, who knows right from wrong. But
It's crazy.
yeah,
It's crazy.
I always knew that it was wrong, but
he had self-awareness.
after the first killing was not planned. I was coming back from the shopping mall back in '78. I had fantasies about picking up a hitchhiker and
So
taking
that
him
was the
back to
first
the house
killing.
and having complete
The
control
hitchhiker.
and dominance over him.
The hitchhiker's name was Stephen Hicks.
that was
He was
real.
just 18. Jeffrey Dahmer took him to
dang.
his parents' house. There he strangled him with a barbell. He dismembered the body and hid it in a drain pipe. It was Jeffrey Dahmer who gave those details to the police in his confession.
No one.
That was his first
No
killing.
one had a clue as to what was happening for over a decade.
During that time, Jeffrey Dahmer joined the army and was sent to Germany. He was eventually discharged for a drinking problem and returned to Ohio. 9 years after
that's why he
Stephen
was
Hicks' murder,
discharged.
the killing began again.
What happened to you in the 9 years in between that you were able to stop, that you were able to control yourself?
It just wasn't an opportunity to fully express what I wanted to do. There was just not the physical opportunity to do it then. And I started, when I moved to Milwaukee in '81, I started reading pornography, going to the bookstores. Eventually that led to frequenting the gay bars. And then one time I brought this young man back to the hotel room, the Ambassador Hotel. Was just planning on drugging him and spending the night with him. Had no intention of hurting him. When I woke up in the morning, he had a broken rib here. Was heavily bruised. Apparently I had...
What's more strange? He doesn't recall what he... It's like he blacks out. That is very scary.
He is a monster, man.
The fact that he doesn't remember hurting the guy, he just wakes up and he noticed the guy is hurt and he has a bruised rib, a broken rib. It's like you don't even know what you did to that guy. You just black out.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. It's like
Oh my gosh.
it's like one of those stuff that you read in those books where you see a character turns into something.
Like you're possessed and you don't recall what happened. Like how you.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. It sounds like possession.
it sounds crazy, bro. It sounds crazy.
Oh no. He didn't have control over that at all.
This took over his body, though. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
beaten him to death with my fists.
And you have no memory
I
of it.
have no memory of it.
That's
But
terrifying.
that's what started the whole spree all over again.
Dang.
Dahmer says he snuck the corpse of his victim, Stephen Toomey, out of his hotel room in a suitcase. Then he took it to his grandmother's house, where he cut up the body and put it.
To even fit somebody in a suitcase, do you know you have to? No, you didn't chop it. You have to bend them so they can actually
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sick.
Oh, you're right. If he didn't,
He didn't. He chopped
probably,
it when he actually got
Yeah,
to the location.
that makes sense though. That makes sense.
He
'Cause-
fit it in like, oh my gosh,
yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense because he ain't had those type of things, access to touch,
bro. This is not.
because he was in the hotel. So yeah, damn, man, creep, bro.
Put it in plastic garbage bags.
When you killed these men, afterwards, were you repulsed? Were you upset?
No, at the time, it was almost addictive. It was almost
Wow. It's like a drug to him, basically.
a surge of energy. I wouldn't have to worry about any of their needs or anything. I just had complete control of the situation.
But Jeffrey Dahmer was out of control. The urge to kill
And I said he actually was straight with it because that's when he can control them.
Which we saw in the show.
Yeah, that's crazy. So he's like, I'm satisfied. He was satisfied with it. He's like, okay, now it's no longer worry about what they care about, what they need.
Yeah, their needs are not important
Now
to him.
my needs, I can do whatever.
You know, it looked like his whole point was to dominate.
Control.
Yeah. If he felt like he could dominate you, you become a problem. But the sad part is that, like, the fact that he felt like, I need to kill this person in order to control the situation, in order to have control over them, I need to kill them, is what's sickening.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel like, okay, I could be with someone and still have a even balance. It was always about Jeffrey. Think about it.
And it makes sense too for the one that escaped, because the way he role played, actually trying to go with his flow,
Do everything to please Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Exactly, baby.
that made him don't want to go to that extent where he actually kills you, because he said, okay, as long as you're following my lead, you know what I mean? Like, you're listening, you're obeying. I don't need to do these measures to you. You understand what I'm talking
I think it helped calm him down. I don't know how far I'll go with that.
No,
but I feel
but-
like it did calm him down, like you said.
No, but I'm saying
it did calm him down from getting angry.
It was enough for him, because remember, he could have just skipped a step and say,
But at the end of the day, I feel like he still wanted to kill him, though. Like,
No, but
it helped him escape. I know it helped the guy escape.
I think the way Jeffrey moved, you probably don't, when he first see you, he's not thinking about just killing you off rip. I think what happened is he wants you to comply as much, but once he feel like you're not complying, that's when he goes too far.
But then again, what about the guys that he drugged and they just backed out and he killed them? You see what I'm saying? Jeffrey's unpredictable, because remember, it's all about dominance. He doesn't want there to be how do you say that? Like, this is how I feel about Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey don't want to have full control. In order for this man to have full control of you, he has to kill you. Because remember what he said when he was sitting. He said that he wants to be able to have that control. That's important to him. You know?
had overpowered him. As police later learned, he wasn't satisfied with his victim's death. He wanted more.
Why did you photograph them?
It was my way of
I really wanna
remembering their appearance, their physical beauty.
Just like we
I
said.
also wanted to keep
Sick.
if I couldn't keep them there with me whole, at least I felt that I could keep their skeletons.
Wow.
And
That's
I
pretty
even went so
tough to
far
hear.
as planning on setting up an altar with the 10 different skulls and skeletons.
And
That's
what was the purpose of the altar
satanic.
going to be?
As a sort of memorial, a point where I could, I don't know, it's so bizarre and strange, it's hard to describe. A place where I could collect my thoughts and feed my obsession.
When the bodies were still in your apartment, there was no time when you would see them and say, this is grotesque.
Right.
What have I done?
There were times, but the compulsive obsession with doing what I was doing overpowered any feelings of revulsion.
That monster.
This man
Go ahead, baby. I heard what you're saying.
When that monster come out, boy, can't stop it.
That's a great question. What the lady asked him, when you saw those bodies in your apartment, did that make you feel like, damn, this is grotesque, this is sickening? He said that that desire faded out. That having that sense of, oh, this is wrong, that went out the window. It's like he enjoyed what he was doing so much, he lost that common sense, you know?
With a quiet, almost shy demeanor, became a master manipulator who was able to
He
lure
was a
strangers he met
manipulator.
at gay bars to his apartment.
He was definitely a
He was even
manipulator.
able to con the police into returning a 14-year-old
That's the
boy.
boy.
After
That's the
neighbors
boy.
called 911 upset that the child was in the street,
my
naked and
God.
bleeding, Dahmer convinced the police that he and the boy were simply having a lover's quarrel.
It's a intoxicated
Crazy.
boyfriend of another boyfriend.
How old was this child?
It wasn't a child, it was an adult.
After the police left,
Crazy how
Jeffrey
you
Dahmer
finesse.
murdered that boy.
He did
Conrad
kill
sent
him.
us some phone. This man says he had a near-fatal encounter with Jeffrey Dahmer.
He wanted to take some picture of my back. He hit me with a rubber hammer on my
He
neck.
escaped from
He was
him.
lucky to escape because by then the killing had become almost routine.
Before you went out to pick up the man, was there any kind of ritual you went through?
I'd go to the nightclubs, drink, watch the striptease shows, and if I didn't meet anyone at the bars, I'd go to the bath clubs and meet someone there, offer them money, and we'd go back to the apartment, have a few drinks. I'd have the sleeping pill mixture already prepared. Person would drink it, fall asleep, and that's when they would be strangled.
Watching the movie Exorcist 3 was also part of his ritual. It put him in the mood for
That is so
murder.
terrifying to
I
hear.
felt so hopelessly evil and perverted that that I actually derived
I know this is really like sick, but I know a lot of you guys, when we were watching it, you guys were like, the little 14-year-old boy, he was bleeding from his rectum. Did he SA the boy, or did he do something else to the boy? They never really explained that part.
Yeah.
pleasure from watching that tape.
Did you like feeling evil?
No, I didn't. But I had tried to overcome the thoughts, and it worked for a while, but eventually I gave in.
Back to
While
monster
Jeffrey
mode.
Dahmer may say things today that make it seem like he understands what went on in his mind, he does not. All he can do is tell you what happened, but he cannot stop whatever it is
That
that
monster.
drove him to kill in the first place.
Do you still feel those same urges? Do you still feel
That's
that
a great
compulsion,
question.
that obsession?
I wish I could say that it just left completely, but no, there are times when I still do have the old compulsions.
Jeffrey Dahmer says as time went on, his mind became more and more warped, and yet he was clever enough to continue to elude police and lure young men to his apartment. We should
13
warn you,
years?
the details are very graphic.
When I was about 15 and 16,
What were your fantasies about?
That's a
they were sexual fantasies of control, power, complete dominance. They became reality.
Was there pleasure in that fantasy?
There was a
You know what's interesting? At a young age, this man was already having these fantasies, these sexual fantasies of dominating someone. So it's almost like his mind was growing. There was seeds planted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was levels to it.
Definitely sees that planet.
Right.
Definitely sees that was planted in his
And,
head.
and then he says he wanted to have complete dominance. That tells you a lot right there.
Yeah, that's why you went to those measures, like you said, to
Yes.
take them out.
Give them then the drugs.
Yep.
Because when someone is drugged up, you have dominance over
That's
them.
what it is.
If they're dead, of course you're gonna have dominance over them.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's just scary to think about it.
Crazy.
excitement, fear, pleasure, all mixed together.
Jeffrey Dahmer fulfilled his fantasies by murdering and dismembering
people?
17.
God damn.
Oh my God, all these
That is
men.
crazy, bro. That's crazy.
RIP to the victims. That's sad, baby.
That is so crazy, bro. Damn.
between young men. In time, his desires became more extreme, his deeds more grotesque.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart.
Got
He was
worse.
branching out? That's, oh my
The arm
gosh.
muscle.
That's what you call
It
it?
was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me. At first it was just curiosity, and then it became compulsive.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
What was
baby.
it like? Everything that you will see, like when those crazy animes type things, where they have a storyboard where they turn vampires
Yes.
and monsters, and
Yes.
it's crazy. He's like living that life for real as a
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
He wants to eat you. He wants to do all these. Oh man.
You know another thing he said too? He said his curiosity. Remember in the movie when he was a little boy and his dad was like, "It's okay to be curious."
Yep.
I don't know why I feel like Jeffrey Mind. He was if he thought about it, he felt like he could do it.
Yep.
Like he said it with the fantasies.
Yep.
This man fantasized about what he wanted to do before killing these people. It was like a step. There was different steps to this.
Yep.
And then he said, "Oh, he branched out. Oh, he wanted to try new things because he was curious." So there was no boundaries to his killings. He didn't have any boundaries.
Because you would have thought, okay, the killing, but he's like, okay, killing's not enough.
But now you're
already,
eating.
already did the killing.
Right.
Now what else level can I
Right. There was different levels
do?
to
And they
it.
keep adding to it, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
It's sickening.
Keeps a person alive by inducing a zombie-like state, by injecting first dilute acid solution into their brain or hot water. It never did completely work.
Could someone like you be stopped?
No, I was dead set on going with this compulsion. It was the only thing that gave me any satisfaction.
So let me so Jeffrey okay, let me understand this. So Jeffrey didn't believe he could have a healthy relationship with someone? Like,
you know, man, when the president thinks that nobody wants to stay around, he knows that people are not staying around.
how okay, but it's the fact that he already came to that conclusion that he couldn't find someone. Okay, first of all, Jeffrey was struggling with his sexuality, right? So okay, it just bothers me that he already assumed right away that, hey, no one's gonna stay with me.
That's it.
That's very. How do you get to that point where you say, okay, nobody's gonna stay with me, so this is what I have to do. I have to kill this person, force them to stay with me, and then I'll be happy. I'll be truly happy and have full dominance over them. But it's like, why didn't he feel like he could be in a relationship with someone? Like, why did he come to that conclusion so quickly?
Because everybody leaving.
I understand that, but do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was
when he meets new people, why is it automatically, oh, you're gonna, like, why is it so like, oh, you're gonna leave me, so I have to kill you? Why is it not like, let me get to know this person? You know, do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, but it shows
Did he have insecurities that some people would leave him? That's what it was, right?
It is.
So that's why you have to kill this person, because in that way you don't have to worry about them leaving you. So that those are his insecurities.
That's it.
Because it's like, wow, it's a lot to think
That's
about.
for him to dominate. It's like all the game for him. In order for him to dominate this way, he has to do those measures in order for somebody to stay, because he knows that if it's any other way, he don't believe you're staying. And that's why he played it.
But that's what's crazy to me, that he didn't feel that someone can genuinely or truly be with him and want to be with him. That he didn't feel that it was possible. Like he removed those options of saying that he could be with someone forever. Someone would want to be with him forever.
That's
How do you just remove that off, like, and say, oh, this is it. I have to kill you in order for you to stay with me.
That was it.
Right? Isn't that wacky?
It is wacky. He told us to bring that, and that's why he turned into him.
He even took a victim's head with him to work at the Ambrosia
That's
Chocolate
insane.
Factory.
I kept the mummified head of one of the victims in a carrying case in my locker.
Tell me
at
this
work.
ain't crazy.
Were you almost flaunting it?
Yes, but that's how strong the compulsion was. I wanted to keep something of the person with me.
Jeffrey Dahmer exhibited some
gosh.
disturbing behavior
man took a
early
freaking
on.
head to
He
work.
began drinking heavily as a
This is a
teenager,
lot.
dropped out of college, was arrested for indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and fondling a 13-year-old boy. Tragically, one of his murder victims would be that boy's brother.
Do you know what started it?
He went
Was
to
there
jail
any
for
kind of
that.
incident that you can remember?
To this day, I don't know what started it. And the person to blame is sitting right across from you. That's the only person.
You know what makes Jeffrey so different from other serial killers? I noticed that the other ones usually say, "Oh, it's the other person's fault. This person."
Mm-hmm.
He takes full accountability for what he did.
Which is facts.
Right. But what's weird to me is that the guy doesn't. He blacks out and he doesn't remember what he does to people, and then when he's doing it, he doesn't feel nothing. It's like he's in this zombie like state where he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't feel like he's hurting them because he's so how do you say that? Because his desire is so strong to have control, dominance over them. That's a lot. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Once he look at you as like an object, it was
Right.
easy for him to do what he do.
Right, which is so. But then again, when you sit with him, you think you're talking to someone with common sense right now.
That's the crazy.
But when you hear what he's saying, it goes opposite to that. You know,
It's
this is
crazy.
so crazy.
It's crazy. But you would think, like, for somebody who do sickly stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that's interviewing him, they sitting in the same presence as him, as a monster that created this stuff already. But you know how when you hear about somebody, you be so terrified about.
Yes.
Right? But since he could talk to you normal, they actually can have a conversation with the monster that's the same body that's doing the crazy stuff. It's not like you're talking to a family member. You're talking to the actual person who did the act.
Yeah.
But you're not, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
you put me in a
that's
room with this crazy guy, he might eat me right now. But it's because he could talk to him.
He's
Clear to you.
she said it. He's articulate, and from what he's saying, you're like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. It doesn't feel like you're talking to a monster when you hear what he's saying. I mean, when you actually hear the word, like I don't even know what to say.
It's that crazy.
It's that crazy. I'm speechless. Like, okay, from when he speaks, you can tell he's an articulate man. But when he's telling you what he did, it's like, wait, hold on a second. Don't trick yourself. This guy's a freaking monster.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Not parents, not society, not pornography. I mean, those are just excuses.
His macabre 13-year crime spree finally ended when this man, Tracy Edwards, brought the police
That's
to
the
the infamous
guy.
apartment. Like the
That got
others, he
away,
had gone
the
there
black
with
guy.
the promise of money.
He was listening to my heart because at a point he told
Oh,
me he
yep,
was
that
going
was
to eat
him.
my heart at that point. I hit him and I ran.
What was the turning
I'm
point
so happy
for
that
you
guy got away.
that made you suddenly realize that you had done something terribly wrong, something you should be sorry for?
It was the night of the arrest. I have no memory of what happened during the 6 hours before the last victim ran out of the apartment.
Dang.
I heard a knock on the door, and
That nigga said he don't even remember. All he just remembers sitting there, knock on the door type shit. So while the guy ran away, he totally forgot that he did some creepy stuff and the guy ran away. It was when the door knocked, it reminded him, it let him know what he did.
So those blackouts, okay, so it looks like he has these little in and out stuff going on. It looks like he has blackouts.
That's crazy.
That's even more terrifying. Because imagine you not remembering, oh my God, this is so scary.
That's weird.
So that's why he seemed calm in the show. He was sitting down. But then again, when he heard the knock, he didn't know it was the cops, he said?
No, he wasn't aware of it. He wasn't like...
He was still in that state when he heard the knock.
No, he blacked out to a point where he waking up thinking that he waking up by himself in his apartment. So when that knock, the cops, while they speaking, that's when he's getting information to know that, oh shit, did I do this type shit. Like he's so
Wow, that's
whacked
terrifying.
out from that shit. That is the craziest
That's
thing ever.
scary.
You know what I mean? That is crazy.
the police were there with the last victim.
So they did come with that guy.
They
just
asked
like
me where the key was to
just
the
like the
handcuffs. My mind was in a haze. I sort of pointed to the bedroom, and that's where they found the pictures. And they yelled, "Cuff him." And I was handcuffed.
Just like the show.
And,
it happened.
it was just the realization that there was no point in trying to hide my actions anymore. The best route was to help the police identify all the victims and just make a complete...
You can even tell he wanted to get caught. Because, wait, it's so like...
This is different. It's so different. The fact that he felt like he was dominating this thing for 13 years. He's like, yo, this is probably the only thing that's gonna stop me, bro.
He had to get caught. He had no control of it over it. You could tell.
Cause he felt like he was too slick with it.
A decade. He got away a decade. Over a decade, they said. Exactly, 13. That's crazy. And he knew they wasn't gonna. If they didn't catch him, if that person didn't get away,
more.
Or if they didn't even go through that draw and see those keys, there would have been more killings.
That's crazy.
Confession.
When it was revealed that most of the victims were black or homosexual, people in Milwaukee were incensed. Many felt that was why he went after them and why the police didn't seem to care when their families reported them missing.
Look at these people.
10 of your 17 victims were black. Were they racially motivated
It was
crimes?
not racially motivated. It was not sexual preference. It was just to find an obsession with the best-looking young man I could find.
While you just heard him...
Okay, so you wanted to find the best-looking guy to kill them. No, but listen to his logic. You know how you said, like, you know what? When you go out, you want to find an attractive person to go on a date with? This man wanted to find the best looking person just so he can kill them. Yep. These are two opposites.
Mm-hmm. That's how far his mind was.
You're obsessed with their bone structure. You're obsessed with. I mean, come on, you guys. There's levels to this.
It's sick.
Oh my gosh.
Him say that his sexual preference had nothing to do with the killings.
No.
He has not come to terms with his homosexuality.
Never understood it.
He struggled with it a lot.
There was no use trying to fight it because I
tell.
couldn't rid myself of it. It was too powerful and persistent.
Do you dislike it?
Yes, it's caused a lot of problems for me. A lot of conflicts and
real quick
unanswered
too.
questions.
Another thing, for some reason when the story first broke out, I didn't know Jeffrey Dahmer was gay. I'm talking when the actual story, when people started hearing about it. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. I actually learned it through watching the show. Mm. Did you know he was gay? Like when you first heard about Jeffrey Dahmer?
I just heard about the serial.
That's what I'm saying. The killing
and that one guy that was that escaped.
Right.
That was as far as I got to knowing before I even got into the show.
Exactly.
But I did know he was a serial killer.
Right, the basics.
Yeah, the basics. Yeah. But as far as it was gay, I didn't know all that.
Yeah, we didn't know that. Yeah. So that was crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Questions.
The conflicts remain with him, and so do his compulsions. But in prison, he finally cannot act on his savage desires.
If you were out on the street now, would you still be committing the crimes?
I believe so.
If this hadn't happened, there's no doubt.
He wasn't going to get caught.
I can't think of anything that would have stopped me.
Can't even think of anything that could stop me.
Oh my God.
He knew his tactics was tough.
That was bone chilling, what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, guys.
There wasn't nothing to stop him. Because he was doing for 13 years.
He was going to get away with it. He was going to die an old man, and no one would ever know.
You know what would have been disgusting? If
how many people he would have killed?
No, they never got caught. And then he just, as an old-ass man, and he comes say this story.
And you think this is how it would have went. He probably would have left a book or something behind.
Oh, my God.
Admitting to it was him. And then people would have been like,
that would have...
It was God's plan for him to get caught.
He
needed to get caught.
Damn. Let me know what y'all think, fam. Love and Color. We is out.